You know, when you think of LA, you probably think of Hollywood, the sunshine, all that glamour, but there is a massive war being fought there every single day. And it's not on the streets. It's happening right under everyone's feet in this hidden network that keeps the entire city going. So yeah, let's dive in, because today we are talking all about Los Angeles's plumbing. So let me ask you a question. What do you think is the biggest threat to the pipes in your home? Like, what's the number one enemy? Okay, your first thought is probably a simple clog, right? You know, too much hair down the shower drain, maybe some grease in the kitchen sink. And yeah, that's a classic. Super annoying for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, that's just the opening act.
Because in a city like Los Angeles, the real enemy is the ground itself. I'm not kidding. For millions of people there, the most relentless, destructive force is literally the earth their homes are built on. The ground is in a constant battle with the pipes buried just a few feet down. And that brings us to the really unique challenges that make plumbing in LA a totally different ballgame. Let's meet the main enemies here, the villains lurking just below the surface.
All right, first up, we've got the ground itself. It's the stuff called expansive clay soil. Now, here's what it does. During the wet winters, it soaks up water like a sponge and swells up, putting this crazy amount of pressure on everything underground. But then, in the summer, it dries out, gets rock hard, and shrinks. And that shifting cracks foundations and snaps old pipes. It's basically a slow-motion earthquake that happens every single year. Then there's our second villain, and this one's a silent invader. Tree roots. I mean, LA is famous for its gorgeous ficus and eucalyptus trees, right? Well, their roots are super aggressive. They're like little explorers, and they can find a tiny microscopic crack in an old clay sewer pipe. They just force their way in, and then they grow into this thick, dense mat that completely chokes off the line. We're talking disastrous backups. And get this isn't some rare problem. We're talking about a huge deal. In some of LA's older neighborhoods, more than 40% of the homes still have these super vulnerable clay pipes. They're just sitting there, basically waiting for a root system to find them. That is a staggering number of homes at risk. Okay, and the third enemy, this one is totally invisible. It flows right out of your faucet. Los Angeles has notoriously hard water. It's just jammed packed with minerals like calcium and magnesium. And over time, those minerals build up inside your pipes and appliances. They form this rock-hard crust called scale. It chokes the water flow, and even worse, it literally corrodes everything from the inside out. And you can really see the impact in the real world. Think about a water heater. In a place with soft water, say Seattle, you could expect it to last maybe 12 years. But in Los Angeles, you're lucky to get 6. It's just cut in half. That mineral scale literally chokes the heating elements to death and just eats away at the tank. So yeah, it sounds pretty grim, right? But this is where the story takes a turn. Because to fight these enemies underground, the modern plumber isn't just a guy with a wrench anymore. No way. They've become these high-tech warriors, armed with an incredible arsenal of gadgets. Seriously, this is not your grandpa's toolbox. We are talking thermal imaging cameras that can see leaks through walls and concrete slabs, electronic sensors that can pinpoint the exact location of a problem, and my favorite, these tiny little video cameras that they send deep into your sewer lines to see exactly what's going on, all without having to dig a single hole in your yard. And this really shows you how much the solutions have leveled up. You know, the traditional cable snake, that rotating wire thing? It's fine for a simple clog, but when you're up against something like a massive tree root invasion, now plumbers use something called hydrojetting. It's basically a super high-pressure water blaster that just shreds through roots and scale, leaving the pipe perfectly clean. But honestly, the most game-changing tech has to be trenchless repair. This is amazing. Instead of digging a huge trench across your beautiful lawn to replace the broken sewer line, they can do this. First, they clean out the old pipe. Then, they insert this soft liner that's coated in epoxy resin. They inflate it like a balloon, and then they let it harden. And what you're left with is a brand new, super strong pipe inside the old one. No digging required. It's incredible. Okay, so all this high-tech stuff is great, but it can't just happen in a vacuum, you know? The stakes are super high here. We're talking about gas lines, water mains, the actual structure of your home. So there's a really strict set of rules, a regulatory framework, to make sure all this work is done safely and correctly. And here's why this is so important. Cutting corners can lead to some serious consequences.
I mean, unpermitted work can turn into a total financial nightmare. Imagine trying to sell your house and finding out the deal is on hold because of some plumbing work done without a permit. You're talking about thousands of dollars in unexpected costs and huge delays.
And we're not talking about just fixing a leaky faucet. In LA, the big jobs, like replacing a water heater, doing any work on a gas line, repairing a sewer line, or a whole house repipe, they all require a permit and a city inspection. It's all about making sure the work meets safety codes, especially those crucial seismic standards for earthquakes. And of course, who you hire to do the work matters a lot. Any professional plumber in California has to have what's called a C36 license. And that's not just some piece of paper. It's your guarantee. It means they have the technical know-how, they're financially stable, and most importantly, they have the insurance to protect you and your home if something goes wrong. Okay, so let's zoom out from LA for a second. Because the bigger story here, the one that applies everywhere, is about the relationship every single city has with its own unique environment. You see, the challenges in LA, the clay soil, the hard water, the crazy elevation changes, that's just one example. Your city is fighting its own battles. Maybe it's against brutal freezing temperatures in the winter, or corrosive salt in the air near the coast, or something else entirely. It's this hidden story, written in the pipes and wires and concrete right under our feet. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. This whole incredibly complex system is working silently, 24/7, right beneath your feet, fighting off challenges you might never even know about. So the real question is, what are the unseen battles being fought right under your city?